Everyday Expertise, and I'm Angela, and I'm here with Rebecca Cohen-Palacios. She is the co-founder and director of Pixelles Montreal, a nonprofit initiative committed to helping more women make and change games. She's also currently a UI artist at Bethesda Game Studios, and has previously worked in a similar position at Ubisoft and in web development. Hello.
Hello.
So, what is Pixelles and how does it get started?
So Pixelles is a women in games organization.
Mm-hmm.
We run workshops, we run a mentorship program, we run tea party arcade socials.
Okay.
To do just to change up, typical video game socials. We do a program for GDC where we send 25 people to GDC.
She also has a cute cat that you can't see in here, but that was what that was.
So we generally just do a lot of stuff, and even though we're a women's organization, we're open to everyone of all genders to participate.
Right. Cool. So so basically, how does membership work with it? If I'm a female or female identifying person who's interested in making games, I want to join or I want to get support, what does Pixelles offer me?
So there is no membership fees. There's no membership process. You just come out the stuff.
Just show up?
Yep, we just show up. It just lowers the barrier to entry because not everyone has access to the same resources, and some people might not want to commit to being a member of something they don't know about. So we're just fairly casual. Just come if something interests you. No big deal.
What kind of, so you have your socials, you have workshops, I think? Yeah. And so people can just sign up for that sort of thing anytime,
Yeah, and they're always free. We always very open to everyone of all genders. We try to include whether a space is accessible or not to people with wheelchairs or if there's stairs. And if there is a program that is restricted, usually it's programs with 6 places, 10 places, we say who can participate or not.
So how have things gone for Pixelles so far? What kind of reception have you received from the community?
It's kind of exploded.
Yeah?
In a way that's almost entirely unmanageable with a full-time job. And it's exploded in a very positive way. People are just excited that there is an organization trying to do good work, trying to change, the way the industry has been going all these years, and generally responding in a kind of way that listens to the community. So whenever somebody points out that we're doing something wrong, we try to fix it and be more open to people.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, we try.
We try.
We're not perfect, but we try.
Yeah. Well, that's important, right? How unique in the industry is Pixelles?
So in Montreal, we're the only women in games organization. There's Wiggy as well, which is geared towards professionals, but it's kind of on hiatus, so we're kind of soloing it.
So you're it,
Yeah, but in Toronto, there's Danes Making Games. In Vancouver, there's Wiggy, and then in the United States, there's tons of organizations, as well as everything that the IGDA runs, and then in Europe, there's the Big J, so there's people actively trying to make a difference.
What inspired you to start it?
So I think it was 5 years ago, maybe less or more. Time is variable.
Yeah.
And we were asked to repeat a program that had happened in Toronto called the Difference Engine Initiative, which helped 6 women make their first video game. I actually participated in that program, so that's how I made my first game. And they approached myself and Tanya Short, who is my co-founder, and they're like, "Can you do this in Montreal?" And we're like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" And we ended up getting 60-something applications for just 10 spots.
Wow.
So it was just okay, we have to do more. There's all this interest. There's all this need to support this growing, diverse sector of people who want to join games. And since then, we did our mentorship program, and we added our workshops, and then the rest is history.
Right. Did you look to other organizations as a model when you were setting up the structure?
Definitely.
Yeah.
We didn't want to do it alone. We didn't want to repeat kind of mistakes that other organizations learn. So we talked to Danes Making Games, which had been around for about a year before we started. We checked out what was going on in the IGDA. We checked out what our friends and allies were doing, and we tried to put something together that was low labor value, because we were just starting out and we have day jobs and we weren't sure how to figure it out. So like our motto in building the organization has been slow but steady. You know, do what you can, otherwise if you work too hard, you just get burned out.
Yeah, I imagine.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, you're also a UI artist, and you talked a little about how that program was how you first made your own game. But how did you get into working in the industry itself?
So I kind of started out as a web designer, which at the time is also a UI designer, but we didn't have that kind of fancy terminology for the profession. So I went through this first program, Difference Engine Initiative in Toronto, where I was living at the time. And I decided to make a game in C++ because I wanted to learn C++ and make a teacher's typing game because I really like typing fast. And lolcats were really, really big at the time. So I made a teacher's typing game about lolcats using lolspeak. That was actually a lot harder to type the words than you expected, because you're trying to type them correctly, but your brain sees words typed incorrectly, so it's kind of a weird hurdle. And like after I made this first game and I met these amazing 5 other women, I was like, oh, this is really cool. I want to make more games. This is something kind of just like clicked as a light for me, and it felt more natural than web development that I was doing at the time. So I spent a year or 2 kind of just like in continuing web dev, starting Pixelles, because I started Pixelles a year before I actually got into games. And through the mentorship program that we actually started, I met a UI person who was just like, you should just apply. You don't need to research. You don't need to like practice anymore. Just apply. And he helped me with my portfolio, kind of pointing out places. He helped me with my cover letter a little bit, just, because we have a tendency to put ourselves down and like being a little bit modest in our cover letters. And when we apply to jobs, because it's super daunting and intimidating. So he helped me with all that. He's like, you got this. Your portfolio is strong. Like you have enough experience. You can totally do this. And just that like positive push, made me apply to Ubisoft Montreal, and then 2 weeks later, it's like, come in for an interview, and
and there you go, and the rest was history.
The rest was history.
How long were you at Ubisoft?
Almost 5 years. I shipped 3 games, I think it was. 3 games.
That's cool.
And it was really, really fun. Big teams, small teams, big projects, small projects.
So how do you balance? You've got your full-time job. You've got Pixelle. How do you balance that with your everyday life?
So slow and steady. Trying not to push yourself too hard after work. Saying no was something I learned the hard way. During these 5 years with Pixelles, like you can't put in thousands of hours every year and then not have it affect your own personal life. So I started saying no to some public stuff. I started saying no to conferences that asked me to come talk, because I needed time to have my own personal identity. Otherwise, just work and work and work and
No, that makes sense.
So just saying no was important, and finding what I was most comfortable with, which was organizing our workshop part, which I actually really liked, because to learn stuff every month, and when I come home from work, if I need to, just watch TV for the night, it's okay.
It's fair. I mean, just what else can you do, right?
Exactly.
All right, what do you think is your sort of your favorite and your least favorite aspects of running something like Pixelle?
So my favorite aspects, I'll start out with the great stuff.
Of course.
It's just seeing people come and hang out. Seeing people come back and hang out after their first time is really good, because it shows that we're doing something a little bit right, at least. And seeing people come make their first game with us, and then getting their first industry job, and then becoming this super amazing game developer who is like now the lead of their team is really, really fulfilling. And it kind of gives me back energy to continue on.
That's cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like kind of feel like you're doing all these like normal, regular things. Like, hey, I'm just, pointing people towards resources, but it kind of has more of an impact than you actually realize. So that's very validating.
That's the perk. Yeah. That's the perk. Yeah.
And I guess the negative part is all the invisible labor that goes into it. I think
Invisible unpaid labor, I imagine.
invisible unpaid labor, yeah. There's hours and hours and hours that go into emails.
I would think.
Like 8 emails takes me 2 hours to do. And setting up like website backends is also extra work, and making sure a translator plugin is working, because half the time it does not. And I'm sorry to Francophone folks out there. I know our website is kind of not great in French, and we're fixing it. I swear. So all the invisible unpaid labor is kind of the draining part of running an organization.
Yeah, I imagine. What are your favorite and least favorite aspects of making games?
Oh. So my least favorite aspect is meetings. Just because, I always find I'm getting into the zone, and I'm like onto something, and then there's a meeting. I'm like, okay, I'll put this down here, I'll write a little note to myself, and then I get back to my desk and I'm like, what was I doing? And I know meetings are
You're going to have to leave notes for yourself or something.
I try, but they're like never enough. And meetings are necessary because you have to talk to people. You have to communicate. You have to exchange ideas and get clarifications and get feedback. So like these meetings are necessary. It's just I'm always in the zone when they occur.
Of course. Are they not like planned, like, or is it just like
they are, but it's
they're like oh, we need a meeting right now kind of thing?
It's like 10 minutes before the meeting.
Oh,
you're like, okay, I have a meeting. I'll just do this little thing, and that little thing kind of just like is the pin.
Yeah,
all these ideas and energy.
That's your problem is the little thing.
I know, but I'm
you just
want
to
get
do
in
it.
The zone. Yeah. Like any kind of movement forward is movement forward.
No, yeah, I get it.
Yeah. And positive thing, I really, really like my profession. I really, really like working in user interfaces. I know it's not one of the most glamorous parts of games,
but it's one of the most essential, right?
If you
don't have a good user interface, people can't get into the game because they can't use it.
Yeah. And just it helps with the way people digest information. It helps point players in the right direction, and sometimes it's invisible, and sometimes you have to be like super creative with your solutions. So I'm kind of like this obsessive nature.
Do you favor these more like artistic sort of UIs, or do you prefer that a UI like is clear and you know what you're doing, sort of thing? Because there are UIs where it's like the menu is an environment.
Oh yeah.
And you wander around it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like, and those are nice. But they're not always clear.
Do you have any favorite ones? Like feed my UI ego.
I wish I knew enough to give you an example.
Okay.
Yeah. What's your favorite UI that you've come across in a game?
Oh no.
Other than your own.
Other than my own. Yeah. I think Persona 5 is a very popular example. Like, it's just so stylish.
Yeah.
I kind of like Neko Atsume UI.
Right.
Mainly because there was an article that came out about how it's actually about government surveillance and how the UI promotes that.
Wow.
You have a journal and you like write down surveillance notes about these cats. So that's one of my favorites. I also like Mystic Messenger as a UI.
Yeah.
Because it tries to simulate the Android phone a lot, and it's like really easy to slip into the immersion. of it. So
Yeah.
that's also a favorite. Also Breath of the Wild. Just because it's like so not in your face. It's always just like, we're over here and we're not going to give you enough information to hold your hand. So I like different games for different reasons.
So without naming names, what aspects of a UI do you think are not ideal?
I guess my least favorite concepts is pop-ups. Like, especially when you're like the middle of playing the game and you're like, okay, I'm like doing this thing. Cool, I'm doing this thing. And then like the pop-up happens like, did you know?
Tutorials.
It's not always tutorials. It's like quest objectives too.
Oh yeah.
You're like, I have this thing that I'm doing. You don't have to interrupt me. I'm doing the thing.
You don't have to keep telling me to do the thing.
I also hate blinking health bars, like with the sound too.
Oh yeah.
And you're like, I know I have low health. You don't have to tell me. I'm trying to heal. Those are my least favorite things, and they're very.
Those are your pet peeves.
Yeah, and they're fairly pervasive in a lot of games.
That's true. Yeah. Okay, so do you have any advice for anyone anyone really who wants to get into games?
I would say make games. And I know that's kind of more daunting than it sounds.
No, but I mean it's a fair point.
Yeah. Just like make very small games, like micro games as we call them. Games that are just like 30 seconds long, games that are just a minute long, just to get used to the idea of making games and not committing to this grand idea. Because the grand ideas are also kind of scary.
Right.
Because they're like this idea you've been nursing, it's your like dream game and you want to get it right. I would say not start off with your dream game. Start off with something silly, something about you, something about every day, just to get used to like, the code that goes behind a game, or if you're using a tool that use logic blocks to circumvent having to program yourself. Just to get used to putting those together, and then you can like make the game and then forget about it, and then move on to your next micro game, and then you'll learn something new. So it's like kind of tiny quest objectives,
steps, basically. Yeah.
So
what would you suggest to someone who wants to become a UI artist? Like how they should get started with that? Because obviously not everyone just goes to school for that. You know?
Yeah, there is actually not any school that I know.
Not really anyone. There's no programs for UI design.
No, there's at least not for games that I know. There is just like graphic design schools. There's also web design parts of school programs, but there's not really anything I know dedicated to user interface art in games.
Yeah.
So I think the best way for somebody who wants to like build up their portfolio to be user interface artists, because you will need one.
Right.
Is to either make user interfaces for fake games, or take the user interface of a game that you found not as successful, remake it. So you have like the design is already done, you're just like improving the experience. But also if you're doing that, make sure it's not the game company you're applying for. And if it is, come up with good reasons to present your proposal.
Yeah, because you might be talking to the people who designed that UI.
Yes, it happens. And just practice and listen to talks, because GDC Vault has tons of UI Summit talks that people can, learn about principles and design concepts. And talk to user interface artists.
Yeah.
We love talking to people because we're kind of invisible, like audio designers.
People aren't usually asking you stuff.
Yeah. And if, there's a joke where a good user interface is an invisible one. And except if you're Persona 5, because you're fabulous. So we really like talking to people. We really like helping people. So please talk to us.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you are. So, do you have any advice for anyone who wants to start a group like Pixelle in their area or their domain? Like, what are the things that you wish you'd known before you started?
kind of wish I knew how much work it would be. But also the work is how much work I set for myself.
That's true.
So I'm running it with a bunch of other fabulous ladies. It's not just myself.
Yeah.
I kind of wish I knew how to better build, the logistics behind it. We had run for a long time as a grassroots organization. We didn't have any official nonprofit status, and just figuring out whether we should be a charity or a nonprofit, because they're different here, was a ton of research and a ton of mistakes. So I kind of wish we had someone to help us.
Yeah.
With all this invisible governmental knowledge.
So in other words, find someone who can navigate governmental websites.
Yeah.
Which is a skill.
Oh yeah, it's a skill. And find people that complement your skills. So there's usually a person who is good with money, good with logistics, good with kind of setup stuff. The invisible person you don't meet at events.
Yep.
And find somebody who can do graphic design. So graphic design marketing. So they will set the tone and imagery for your organization. And find the person who is good at being the talking person, because that is also a skill.
That is definitely a skill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of work. All of these jobs are a lot of work.
Yeah. So remember that. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Okay, so anything coming up soon for Pixelle you'd like to plug?
Yes, we do. We actually have a panel on UI UX coming up. It is full, which makes my heart happy to see so many people really excited about that topic.
Yeah.
But there's a wait list, so if somebody is interested in maybe holding out for a ticket, you can sign up there.
And they can sign up on your website, basically?
Yes.
Yeah.
In November, we have another workshop on talking about your professional work from your personal social media account.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's also...
Which is definitely a skill, because
it's also a skill,
there's, I guess there's sort of the balance of sharing and oversharing.
Yeah. And a lot of game development is also
secret.
kind of about public identity and secrets. You don't want to spill your unannounced
You don't
game.
want to accidentally say something you're not supposed to.
Yeah, and there's a lot of NDAs, so how do you navigate that while actually talking about the work that you do? And that kind of also ties into networking. So social media can be important if you're trying to make industry ties. So if it's always been a little daunting to you, then probably that workshop will be very helpful.
Okay. And when is that again?
It's in November.
Okay.
And hold on, there's more.
Of course.
All our long-term programs are starting soon.
Yeah.
So we have our Make Your First Video Game program. Applications for that should be in November.
Okay.
And that is open to anyone who wants to make their first game. And there's no programming or technical knowledge required, so we try to bring in people with different skill sets to make a game. And then we have our scholarship program to GDC, which is also in November, and a writers group, which is starting up again.
Okay.
So all
That's
these
good.
things are lining up for 2019, and fall is the most exciting. And
so if you want to be involved, go to the website, sign up now.
Yes. And last one.
Yep.
I forgot to plug it. Our Tea Party Arcade Social will be announced in the fall. So if you like tea and you like video games and you like dressing up, maybe you can come hang out with us.
So what do you do with these Tea Party Arcade Socials? You have tea and you play arcade games?
Yep, we have tea, and we set up an arcade with games that you might not have heard of around a theme. So we try to pick generally artsy games or small games.
So indie games mostly?
Yeah, indie games, alt games. Stuff that fits in with our really cool theme that is interesting.
Sounds cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. This has been Everyday Expertise. I'm Angela.
Bye.
Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed this interview. Be sure to share this video with friends and colleagues who may also enjoy this topic. Let us know your thoughts by leaving a comment below, or check the description for our social media. See you next time.